Welcome to the fourth and final episode of our podcast, A Thin Line, where we share a different version of the myth you and I grew up with. All episodes of our podcast are now available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, so make sure to check them out and share your thoughts in the comments and review section. You can also find bonus mythical content on our Instagram account at athinline.official. Today's episode is titled The Stolen Birthright and features another retelling I wrote as an adaptation of the novel The Fisher Queen's Dynasty, also by Kavita Kane. This particular retelling is from the Hindu epic the Mahabharatam. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this Hindu myth, it is what I would personally call ancient India's version of a soap opera because it has the most mind-boggling plot lines. The kind you usually find in the dramas your grandparents and parents watch at home. You have fish giving birth to humans, polyamory, men giving birth, reincarnation for revenge, and the list goes on. In Indian soap operas, the mother-in-law is usually the troublemaker. Our protagonist today is the great mother-in-law who, despite all her efforts to build the greatest line of kings, ended up causing its destruction as well. Do I regret it? I don't think the word regret can encompass the emotions I felt when I had to bear witness to my dynasty crumble in front of my own eyes. Why did it have to come to that point though? What did I do so wrong that I could never enjoy my birthright? Why was fate so cruel to me? All I wanted was recognition, acknowledgement of my intelligence and wit, not to face ridicule for the cursed smell or the poverty that was forced upon me. I refused to live in such a cursed reality. So like any man, I too sought out to change my reality. A reality that I never wanted, but had to live through. All because I was born a woman. My twin became the king of Chedi, while I became Matsyagandha, the one who smells like fish. Fate denied my birthright, my kingdom to rule over, my legacy to be remembered. So I turned my heart into stone to win back the birthright fate stole from me. I strategized, I stole. I guess that is where I went wrong. I became too obsessed with winning, with ruling over a kingdom and creating a long-lasting dynasty. Satyavati's dynasty. Maybe fate cursed my entire lineage for stealing what should have been Bhishma's legacy. Maybe I should have never let him take on that damned oath. The oath that I thought would be the key to the dynasty I dreamed of. It ended being the start of its downfall. If I had wronged Bhishma so much so that fate cursed me to witness my grandsons kill each other, what about my fate? Was there no way to defy the reality forced upon me? Was I just meant to live as a fisherman's daughter? I'm sure everyone listening has a lot of questions. But before I dive into the analysis, let me provide some background on our final episode's protagonist, Satyavati, the Empress Dowager of Hastinapur. Before she was recognized as Satyavati, she was known for something else, which you may have guessed by now. Yes, it's the odor of fish she was born with. The reason behind her other name, Matsya Gandha, the girl who smells like fish. As the story progresses, in exchange for spending a night with the sage Prashar and giving birth to his son Vyasa, she rids herself of this odor and is granted a divine fragrance and a new name, Yojana Gandha. This new fragrance becomes catnip for the king of Hastinapur, King Shantanu, who falls into a lust-filled love with Satyavati and wishes to make her his queen. However, Satyavati's father is no joke. He refused to allow the king to marry his daughter unless he promised that her children would be the ones to sit on the throne. This ultimately forced the king's eldest son Bhishma to take a massive oath of celibacy, giving up his birthright so Satyavati could become queen. But this win was messy. Her sons died childless. Her perfect plan backfired, and her desperate attempts to preserve the bloodline eventually led to the biggest war in history. She's the ultimate queenmaker who accidentally set the world on fire. The lore is deep, right? Didn't I tell you? The Mahabharatam is ancient India's soap opera, and Satyavati's story is not even the main event. Now, let's get into the analysis. As I briefly mentioned in the retelling, Satyavati had a twin brother born from the same womb. But he became the heir to the kingdom of Chedi, while she was handed off to be raised by a fisherman. This is birthright being gendered in real time. Her brother's masculine identity was tied to a throne, while hers was tied to a cursed smell and poverty. But she doesn't simply accept this fate. She resists it with all her might, and her first act of resistance, that fragrance glow up, isn't just a magical event. In gender theory, this is an aesthetic overhaul for the patriarchal case. To even stand a chance at reclaiming her birthright, she had to erase her biological reality. She had to perform a version of herself that King Shantanu would find worthy. It is the ultimate proof that for a woman, power often comes with a price tag of self-erasure. Then we have the man she's haunted by, Bhishma. Readers and texts usually accuse her of stealing his legacy by forcing him into the celibacy oath so her sons could rule. But was it a theft or a patriarchal bargain? Satyavati went through hell to secure her sons' futures, but when they died childless, her plan backfired. But unlike many in her position, she eventually set aside her ego and begged Bhishma to take the throne. She was willing to break the rules if it meant saving the dynasty. But Bhishma? He was a prisoner of his own honor. His refusal to break his oath, even as the lineage died out, is the ultimate checkmate. Satyavati was flexible for the sake of survival. Bhishma was rigid for the sake of his reputation. It makes you wonder, who was actually more destructive? Finally, if you were to compare Satyavati and Kunti, they are the two grand matriarchs of the Mahabharatam, and their parallel lives are honestly mind-blowing. Both women have secret sons before their royal marriages. Satyavati has Vyasa and Kunti has Karna. In gender theory, we call this the matriarchal hustle. Both women realized that in a patriarchal world, their only path to safety was through the proxy power of their sons. When Satyavati's sons died, she brought in Vyasa to father the next generation. When Kunti's husband was cursed to die, she used divine boons to father hers. But while Kunti is often seen as a sacrificial mother, Satyavati is framed as the ambitious mother-in-law. It highlights as a double standard. When a woman's strategy is too visible, she is labeled a villain. So my question to you all is Satyavati really the morally grey character she is portrayed to be? Or is she simply a woman who tried and failed to navigate a society where the odds were stacked against her from the start? With this, I'm wrapping up our podcast, A Thin Line. Hopefully, all of you tuning in enjoyed these retellings as much as we enjoyed writing them. If there is a next season, we'll see you then. See you sometime soon. Bye bye.